They told you God was silent, but what if I told you he just smiled? Yes, heaven itself shifted, not because of a miracle in the sky, but because of something you finally did on earth. The angels paused, the universe leaned in, and God's heart was stirred with joy. Chosen one, this isn't just another day in your story. This is the moment the Creator himself acknowledged your step, your choice, your breakthrough. And the reason why will leave you in awe. Have you ever felt like you're on the brink of a massive shift, like you're standing at a doorway but you can't quite see what's on the other side? A lot of you, my beautiful chosen ones, have been on a roller coaster of a spiritual journey. It's not a joyride, is it? It's more like a theme park attraction with unexpected loops, sharp turns, and those moments where you're hanging upside down and thinking, what on earth was I thinking getting on this ride? This reminds me of a tale about a young woman named Ilara. Ilara was a chosen one, a light worker, but she was exhausted. The world felt heavy on her shoulders. Every day, it was a battle against self-doubt, against the whispers of not good enough. She was trying to pour from an empty cup, giving so much of her light to others that she forgot to illuminate her own path. She'd pray, she'd meditate, and she'd do all the right things, but she felt this spiritual fatigue deep in her soul. She was so focused on being a pillar of strength for everyone else, on fighting the darkness in the world, that she forgot the most important fight of all, the fight to love and cherish herself. Well, Ilara's story is your story, chosen one. You've been so busy trying to please everyone and fix everything that you've put your own spiritual well-being on the back burner. And I'm going to drop a truth bomb right here, right now. God didn't call you to break yourself for others. He called you to be whole, to be full, so that your overflow could bless the world. The heavens didn't want you to sacrifice yourself, they wanted you to thrive. And God smiled in joy the moment you finally understood that your spiritual journey isn't about being a martyr, it's about becoming a masterpiece. The universe rejoiced the moment you chose you. That's right, the most profound, universe-shaking thing you could ever do for your spiritual path is to fill your own cup. And in this video, we're going to dive deep into exactly what that means. We're going to talk about the 7 pivotal things you did that made the heavens throw a party in your honor. So grab a cup of tea, find a cozy spot, and let's get real. Don't you dare click away, because what we're about to discuss will not only validate your journey, but will also equip you with the divine cheat codes to keep that spiritual fire burning. Let's do this. Point 1. You let go of the need for external validation. Let's dive into the big one, the awakening that sneaks in quieter than a cat tiptoeing across a silk rug. The moment you finally stop chasing validation from the outside world is nothing short of revolutionary. Think about it. How many times have we posted a spiritual quote on Instagram, fully aware that our heart meant it, only to sneak a peek at how many likes it got? Or how many times have we waited for someone to comment, "Wow, you're so enlightened," secretly craving the acknowledgement that our inner growth mattered to someone else? Here's the twist. Chosen one, all of that, the longing for applause, the subtle measures of approval, is exactly what keeps you tethered to the illusion that your worth is negotiable. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, whispers a secret to those who will listen. Your value was never up for debate. It never depended on likes, comments, or external validation. When you finally internalize this, when you start seeking approval not from others but from within, everything changes. That quiet knowing that you are a child of the divine, that your essence is inherently sacred, becomes a magnetic force that reshapes your entire existence. Neuroscience even backs this up. Studies in psychology show that constantly seeking external validation triggers the brain's reward system in ways that are fleeting, creating cycles of anxiety, stress, and dissatisfaction. When you shift the focus inward, relying on self-acknowledgement and intrinsic validation, your neural pathways strengthen resilience, self-confidence, and emotional stability. In essence, the brain rewards you for trusting your own inner compass rather than waiting for someone else to point the way. It's biology and spirituality merging into a single, undeniable truth. Your power grows exponentially when it's no longer tethered to the approval of the world. But let's get even more fascinating. Spiritual traditions across the globe, from the mystics of Sufism to the sages of Vedanta and even modern Stoic philosophy, have echoed this same principle for centuries. They all converge on one astonishing idea. Liberation begins the moment you realize that your existence, your very being, is already complete. The world may shower you with praise, or it may cast shadows of doubt, but neither can alter the sacred blueprint etched into your soul. And here's the beauty of it. Chosen one, the more you honor your inner approval, the more the universe conspires in your favor. Opportunities that once seemed impossible suddenly appear. Synchronicities become commonplace, and your path, once shrouded in uncertainty, becomes illuminated with clarity. This is why stopping the chase for validation is a mic drop moment for the soul. It's not arrogance, it's the ultimate act of humility and wisdom combined. You are no longer bending to fit into the expectations of a world that measures worth by likes, accolades, or applause. Instead, you embody a self-sufficiency that radiates authenticity. People will notice it, not because you're trying, but because it's impossible to ignore the magnetic resonance of someone aligned with their own truth. The quiet, unwavering confidence that comes from recognizing your divine worth is more powerful than any external recognition. So, chosen one, take a deep breath and let this sink in. Your value was never conditional, and it never will be. You've stepped off the stage of public validation and stepped into the sanctuary of your own soul. In that sacred space, the universe doesn't just nod in approval, it rejoices. And that, my friend, is where the magic truly begins. Point 2. You embraced your shadow self. You know that little voice in your head that loves to throw a pity party, or that sneaky part of you that gets jealous when someone else succeeds, or holds on to resentment when life doesn't go your way, or even allows a hint of petty thoughts to bubble up. That, chosen one, is your shadow self. For centuries, society has trained us to ignore it, to slap on a smile, to act perfect, and to pretend that these darker impulses don't exist. From childhood, many of us learned that anger, envy, or fear were undesirable, even shameful. But here's the paradox. By repressing our shadow, we also dim our own inner light. The very qualities we try to hide, when understood and embraced, can become the catalyst for the deepest growth and the most profound transformation. Unlike many, you didn't shy away from your darkness. Instead of hiding under layers of pretense, you chose to confront it. You turned toward the parts of yourself that most people run from, and you asked, "What can you teach me?" That act alone sets the chosen ones apart. The shadow self is not a villain, it's an ancient companion carrying wisdom encoded in your fears, insecurities, and suppressed emotion. Psychologists and spiritual teachers alike, from Carl Jung to modern energy healers, emphasize that the shadow holds the keys to authenticity, creativity, and empowerment. Jung famously said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." In other words, enlightenment is not about pretending to be purely light. It's about understanding, integrating, and even loving the darkness that lives within you. When you accepted your shadow, you discovered something revolutionary. Your so-called flaws, fears, and inner contradictions are actually portals to your power. That little jealous voice that whispers, "Why not me?" isn't a sign of weakness. It's a call to awaken your ambition, to recognize your desires, and to fuel your growth. That sense of resentment, when observed without judgment, teaches you boundaries, discernment, and emotional resilience. Even the petty or impulsive parts of you, when acknowledged consciously, become teachers in disguise, guiding you toward empathy, patience, and self-awareness. What makes you a chosen one is not your ability to look flawless. It's your courage to look inward unflinchingly and embrace all facets of your being. The integration of your shadow transforms your spiritual energy. You start to shine not by denying your darkness, but by alchemizing it. Imagine your soul as a prism. The shadow is the black stone at its core, and the light it reflects is infinitely more vibrant because it has passed through the depth of your experiences. You stop comparing yourself to others, stop clinging to societal masks, and begin to act from a place of authenticity. The more you honor your shadow, the more magnetic your presence becomes, because there's a depth to you that can't be faked, a wisdom that radiates without effort, and a light that emerges only when the darkness is fully seen. So, chosen one, remember this. Your shadow is not a curse. It is the secret passage to your truest self. Every fear you've faced, every uncomfortable emotion you've held, and every ugly part of yourself you've learned to love has been quietly preparing you for the brilliance you now embody. The moment you stopped resisting your darkness and started listening, that was the moment your spiritual light truly began to shine. You are not just walking through the world, you are walking awake, carrying both shadow and light. And in that balance, you have become unstoppable. Point 3, you created healthy boundaries. Boundaries, the quiet superpower that sets the chosen one apart from the rest of the world. For so long, you were the human equivalent of an open door, welcoming everyone and everything into your life, even when your soul was screaming for silence. You said yes because you feared conflict, because you wanted to be liked, and because you thought that helping others at your own expense was somehow noble. But here's the truth. The universe has been whispering all along. Being constantly available isn't a gift. It's a depletion. Every time you absorbed someone else's energy, every time you silenced your own needs for the sake of another, you unknowingly dimmed the light that God placed inside of you. Science even supports this. Studies in psychology show that people who struggle to set personal boundaries experience higher levels of stress, anxiety, and even depression. You weren't just giving away your time, you were giving away your vitality. And then something incredible happened. Slowly, often without fanfare, you discovered the sacred power of no. It wasn't abrupt or dramatic, it was a quiet shift. Like the tide reclaiming the shore, you realized that saying, "I love you, but I can't," is not rejection, it is reverence for your own soul. You learned that protecting your energy is not selfish, but essential. Think about it. A cup cannot pour unless it is full. A lamp cannot illuminate unless it is fueled. You, chosen one, are a vessel of light, and the world cannot benefit from your radiance if you are constantly drained by obligations that do not serve your higher purpose. History is full of examples. Think of Gandhi or Mother Teresa. People who changed the world understood the delicate balance of giving and preserving their energy. They did not deplete themselves blindly. They chose carefully where to invest their life force. Boundaries are not just practical, they are spiritual. Each time you put up a divine "do not disturb" sign, it is like a cosmic alignment, a signal to the universe that you are claiming your sacred space. You are telling God, "I am here, fully present for what truly matters," and the universe celebrates. Neuropsychology even shows that setting boundaries reduces stress hormones, strengthens emotional resilience, and improves overall well-being. In other words, protecting your peace isn't just spiritual, it is scientifically wise. The chosen one knows this instinctively. You do not need to explain yourself or justify why some doors remain closed. Your energy itself communicates your sacredness. But here is the subtle magic that most overlook. Boundaries are also magnetic. When you stop being a doormat, you stop attracting energy vampires. When you honor your own limits, the right people, the right opportunities, and the right experiences are drawn to your life. You are no longer scattering your energy randomly. You are curating a life that resonates with your soul's purpose. People might initially misunderstand or even resist the firmness of your no, but ultimately they will respect the integrity and strength it represents. Boundaries are the silent power move of the chosen one. They announce without speaking, they protect without aggression, and they invite only that which aligns with your divine mission. So, chosen one, never underestimate the sacred art of saying no. Each refusal is a yes to your peace, a yes to your purpose, and a yes to the radiant life you were destined to lead. The next time your soul whispers for space, listen, honor it. Because boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges connecting you more deeply to your true self, to God, and to the destiny the universe has been carefully preparing for you. Point 4. You forgave yourself. This one's a tearjerker, chosen ones. How many of you have been trudging through life carrying a backpack packed to the brim with regrets, self-blame, and the heavy weight of what-ifs? You know that nagging voice inside, the one that whispers endlessly about past mistakes, missed opportunities, or the times you didn't live up to your own impossible standards. Yes, that relentless critic, you felt its sting, haven't you? But here's the truth. Being human means stumbling. It's in those stumbles, those moments of imperfection, that the universe has hidden your greatest lessons. Every error, every perceived failure has a purpose. They are not punishments, they are invitations, divine nudges guiding you toward growth, awareness, and ultimately, your own awakening. Imagine for a moment the immense courage it takes to finally face yourself, to stand in front of the mirror and look deep into your own eyes, not to judge but to acknowledge. How rare it is, even among the awakened, to say, "I forgive you." not as a polite nod to yourself, not as a fleeting whisper of self-compassion, but as a full-bodied, soul-deep act of release. Science tells us that forgiveness, even self-forgiveness, releases chemicals like oxytocin and endorphins in the brain, reducing stress and lowering anxiety. It's more than spiritual, it's physiological. By forgiving yourself, you literally change your body chemistry, inviting peace, clarity, and alignment with the energy of the cosmos. That act alone sends ripples far beyond what you can see, and oh, chosen ones, the beauty of this journey is in its imperfection. You see, the world constantly pressures us to be perfect, flawless, unerring. But perfection is an illusion. Your perfectly imperfect life, full of twists, stumbles, heartbreaks, and triumphs, is where your power resides. When you release the chains of self-blame, you reclaim your narrative. You start to understand that every mistake was actually a carefully disguised lesson, a stepping stone placed by the universe to lead you closer to your higher self. Neuroscience even supports this. Our brains are wired to grow from errors, forming new neural pathways when we reflect and adapt. Each act of self-forgiveness literally rewires your mind for resilience, empathy, and deeper understanding. Think of it this way. When you forgive yourself, it's not only an internal act of liberation, it's a cosmic celebration. The divine doesn't punish, it rejoices. And in that moment, God, the universe, source, whatever name you call it, smiles because his beloved child has finally come home. That home is not a physical place, but the sanctuary within your own heart, where love replaces judgment, where self-acceptance replaces harsh criticism, and where every scar, every misstep becomes a badge of honor on the path of your awakening. So, chosen ones today, take a moment to honor your journey. Celebrate the courage it took to face your own shadows. Remember, the act of forgiving yourself is not a one-time ritual. It's a lifelong dance of compassion, awareness, and love. Every time you let go of guilt, every time you embrace your flaws, you contribute to a chain reaction of light and healing that extends far beyond you. The world needs your awakened energy, your radiant self-love, and the courage to show others that imperfection is not weakness. It is sacred power. You, chosen ones, have finally seen yourself, not as a flawed human being, but as a divine soul in motion. And that is nothing short of miraculous. Point 5. You embrace solitude. I know. Solitude can sound lonely, almost like a punishment society hands out to those who dare to step off the endless carousel of noise and distraction. But for the chosen one, solitude isn't loneliness. It's a reunion. It's a sacred invitation to rediscover yourself. When most people see isolation as a void, you've learned to see it as fertile ground. You stopped fearing being alone and started craving it. Because in that stillness, the whispers of your own soul become deafeningly clear. Science even supports this. Studies in psychology show that brief periods of intentional solitude can boost creativity, clarity, and emotional resilience. But for the chosen one, it goes deeper than neuroscience. It's a spiritual awakening. You began to understand that your spiritual GPS operates at a higher frequency when you're not distracted by the constant chatter of the outside world, the noise, the obligations, the endless social performances. All of it fades away when you retreat inward. Suddenly you're not just alone, you're intentionally present with yourself, engaging in conversations with the part of you that has always known the truth. You start taking yourself on dates, not for vanity, but as a practice of sacred self-respect. You might visit a quiet cafe, notebook in hand, not to check your phone, but to explore your thoughts. Or perhaps you take long walks, listening to nothing but your own heartbeat, feeling the rhythm of your connection to the universe. This is where the magic happens. Being with yourself transforms your relationship with time. Suddenly, hours spent alone aren't empty, they're immersive, expansive, and sacred. You find joy in your own company, discovering layers of your personality, creativity, and wisdom that the outside world never allowed you to explore. The chosen one learns that some of the most profound insights come from silence. Ancient spiritual traditions, from Taoism to Sufism, teach that the divine speaks most clearly in quiet moments, and you've experienced this truth firsthand. In your solitude, the universe isn't silent. It's listening, watching, and celebrating as you finally honor your own inner temple. And here's the fascinating part. Retreating doesn't mean you're running from life. On the contrary, it means you're preparing to step into it fully awakened. Every moment you spend alone, you are learning to navigate your own mind, to understand your desires, your fears, and your higher purpose. You're discovering that the conversations you have with your own soul are richer than any chatter you can have with others. The universe rejoices because at last you're dedicating energy to the divine essence within you, the spark that makes you unique, the quiet power that fuels your destiny. In solitude, you aren't lonely, you're aligned. You realize that being alone is a form of spiritual empowerment. You are reclaiming your energy, your focus, and your sense of self. And the more you connect with yourself, the more the world aligns with you in ways that defy coincidence. Doors open, synchronicities appear, and life seems to flow effortlessly because you've become a magnet for your own truth. The chosen one doesn't fear being alone. They celebrate it, knowing that in the sacred silence of solitude, the blueprint of their destiny reveals itself. So embrace it. Take those solo walks, write those unsent letters, meditate for hours, or simply sit with your thoughts. Because in these moments, you aren't just surviving, you are awakening. The chosen one finds power in quiet, clarity in solitude, and an eternal connection to the divine. And when you finally emerge, the world won't know what hit it, but you will. Point 6. You started celebrating your small victories. We live in a world that glorifies the grand gestures, the monumental achievements, and the moments that make headlines in our own lives. Society trains us to wait for the big breaks, the promotion that defines our career, the life-altering epiphany, the spiritual awakening that hits us like a lightning bolt. But you, my chosen one, have learned a much deeper truth. That transformation rarely arrives as a fireworks display. Instead, it whispers. It emerges quietly, almost imperceptibly, in the seemingly ordinary moments that most people overlook. You began noticing the subtle victories, the small choices that shape the soul over time. It wasn't the grand declaration or the dramatic act of heroism that marked your progress. It was the tiny, consistent actions that built the foundation of your spiritual strength. You remembered to breathe deeply when tension rose, to respond with compassion rather than anger, and to show patience where impatience had been your first instinct. These moments may have seemed insignificant to others, yet they were monumental steps on your path. Science now supports this wisdom. Research in psychology has shown that small, consistent actions, microhabits, create lasting changes in our brains, rewiring neural pathways and reinforcing the behaviors that define who we are. In other words, every small act of mindfulness, love, or courage isn't just symbolic. It physically transforms your brain. Consider the power of a simple morning ritual. While others wait for a sign from the universe, you embrace the quiet magic of a thought formed during your morning coffee, a feeling of gratitude that radiated through your body before the day even began. Neuroscientists call this phenomenon priming. Your brain, when started with positivity, literally sets a tone for the day, influencing decisions, reactions, and energy levels. That's why the small, intentional victories aren't trivial. They shape the very chemistry of your being, aligning you with the higher frequencies of growth that so many seek in dramatic, distant flashes. Your spiritual journey, dear chosen one, is less like scaling a mountain and more like walking a garden path. Each step matters. The step where you forgave a perceived slight, the step where you took a walk in nature to clear your mind, and the step where you quietly held space for someone else's pain without judgment. These steps, seemingly ordinary, accumulate into extraordinary spiritual evolution. This is the hidden truth that ancient sages and modern psychologists both recognize. Greatness doesn't always announce itself with a trumpet. Often it arrives in the gentle rhythm of persistence, of conscious choice, of living aligned with your highest self, one moment at a time. And here's the most astonishing part. The universe notices. Every time you celebrate a small victory, it responds, not always with a visible sign, not always with a thunderclap, but with resonance, synchronicity, opportunities, and subtle confirmations that you are on the right path. It's as if reality itself leans in, acknowledging the quiet devotion of your journey. While others chase dramatic miracles, you have discovered the profound power of consistency, the beauty of small yet intentional steps, and the extraordinary magic hidden in the ordinary. So keep walking this path, chosen one. Celebrate the invisible victories, cherish the moments too small for others to notice, and honor the growth that cannot be measured by society's yardsticks. Spiritual awakening isn't a sudden leap. It's the patient unfolding of your awareness, your heart, and your soul. And in that patient unfolding, you are already extraordinary, you are already divine, you are already chosen. Point 7. You started living from a place of joy. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, you made a choice that is quietly revolutionary in a world so often obsessed with struggle and suffering. You chose joy. But let me be clear, this isn't the fleeting pleasure of indulgence, the temporary high that fades with the sunrise. No, this is something far deeper, far more profound. You chose joy as a path, as a daily practice, as a deliberate act of defiance against the ancient belief that spiritual growth must always be forged in pain. For centuries, mystics and sages whispered the same lesson. Suffering refines the soul, and while there is truth in that, pain can indeed carve wisdom. You have broken that old paradigm. You understood that your purpose is not to endure life like a soldier trudging through endless battles. Your purpose is to dance, to laugh, to feel, and to live. And that shift in perspective is not just poetic, it's radical because it challenges one of the oldest assumptions in human history, that holiness and hardship must always go hand in hand. In choosing joy, you tapped into a truth that many overlook. Joy is itself a form of spiritual mastery. Modern neuroscience has even confirmed what the mystics hinted at long ago. When you feel joy, when you truly savor gratitude, wonder, or love, the prefrontal cortex in your brain activates. This is the region responsible for decision-making, planning, creativity, and even moral reasoning. In other words, joy doesn't just make you feel better in the moment. It actually strengthens your mental resilience, sharpens your clarity, and grounds your sense of purpose. It is rewiring your brain to operate from a higher, more aligned state. Ancient cultures knew this intuitively. In Vedic philosophy, joy was seen as a natural expression of the Atman, the eternal soul. In Egyptian mythology, the goddess Hathor embodied joy, music, and love, reminding worshippers that delight itself was sacred. Even in Christian scripture, Paul urged believers to rejoice always, not as an afterthought, but as a discipline of faith. The symbols repeat across civilizations: the lotus blooming untouched by mud, the phoenix rising from ashes, the sun shining despite the storm, all metaphors for joy as resilience, joy as transcendence. What's remarkable is that you didn't wait for life to hand you reasons to be happy. You discovered joy in the mundane, in the overlooked corners of existence. You noticed the warmth of sunlight spilling across your skin, the quiet rhythm of your breath, and the melody hidden in laughter. Science has a term for this way of living: savoring, the practice of consciously amplifying the positive emotions in small moments. Psychologists link savoring to longer lifespans, lower stress, and greater overall satisfaction. But for someone on a spiritual path, for a chosen one, this isn't just about mental health. Each moment of joy becomes a form of prayer, a portal into the divine. The state of flow that researchers like Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi described, where time seems to slow and the ordinary feels extraordinary, has long been experienced by mystics as communion with God, the universe, or the cosmic self. Where science sees optimal experience, spirituality sees alignment, and you, by choosing joy, are living at the crossroads of both. By living in this joyful state, you became a vessel for light. You embodied the principle that worship isn't always cloaked in solemn silence or ritual. It can just as easily be laughter ringing through the air, kindness shared with a stranger, or curiosity bubbling in wonder at the world. Joy itself became your prayer. And the universe, which always mirrors the energy you emit, responded in kind. Doors opened, synchronicities unfolded, and blessings multiplied, not as random luck, but as resonance. Imagine the heavens themselves vibrating with laughter, echoing your choice to live fully. The ancients described this as the music of the spheres, the harmony of creation itself. And you, by daring to embrace joy, became part of that cosmic orchestra. So remember this: joy is not incidental. It is not a prize you earn after surviving trials, nor a fleeting distraction to numb life's pain. It is your birthright, woven into the very fabric of your being. It is both your inheritance and your responsibility. Every time you choose it, you rebel against the forces, internal or external, that would keep you small, fearful, or weary. Every time you laugh, dance, or feel wonder, you send a message to the universe. I choose life, I choose light, I choose to honor the divine spark within me. That choice is contagious, Others feel it when they encounter your presence. It awakens them, stirs them, and reminds them that they too have the right to joy. This is why the choice you made is so much bigger than yourself. In choosing joy, you become a beacon, a living testimony that the cosmos is not cold or silent, but alive, radiant, and deeply invested in human flourishing. And that is the paradox of joy. It is both the simplest choice and the most profound. You didn't have to climb a mountain or sit in meditation for decades to find it. You just had to claim it. Yet in claiming it, you stepped into one of the highest forms of spiritual wisdom. You became proof that joy is not naive or shallow, but the deepest, most courageous way to live. For joy is not ignorance of suffering, it is defiance in the face of it, a declaration that light exists and will always outshine the darkness. And in that defiance, in that radiant choice, you revealed yourself as what you always were. A chosen one, walking in harmony with the song of the universe. So, chosen ones, if you're still watching, it's because this message was meant for you. You have been walking this path, and you've been doing the work. God has been watching with pride as you've let go, grown, and embraced the magnificent divine being you were always meant to be. This is your wake-up call, your confirmation, and your permission slip. Keep going, keep choosing yourself. And remember, every single moment you do, the heavens are celebrating you. The universe has your back. Now, go out there and keep shining that beautiful light. You've got this.